Shit, my boy Okarun got that Lance Armstrong riz. Damn. It's pretty clear now that Dandadan has basically all of the genres. It's got shonen, it's got some sci-fi, mystery, sports, I guess. Fucking horror? No, seriously, what the hell is this Loch Ness monster scene, bro? This had me clenching my ass during my lunch break. But more than any of those other things, I think we all know Dandadan is a romance and a coming of age. Okay, this is gonna sound really pretentious, but bear with me. You're bearing, right? You're not gonna click away? The genius of Okarun is that he's an exploration of positive masculinity. I'm sure some of you clicked off as soon as you heard that. But for the rest of you, hear me out. Let me cook, damn it. It's very easy to dismiss Okarun as yet another self-insert rom-com protagonist. If you're that type of person, you might even call him a beta or some other shit like that. I don't know. Some of those things may or may not be true, but he is also a lot more than that. Even though some of the story points here are a little bit cliche, like the whole finding him in a weird position that looks really bad, but it's not what it looks like. Yeah, we've all seen that one before, but I do really like how the story handles Okarun as a fighter. He got these curse powers against his will, and he kind of sucks at using them. Against Acrobatic Silky, he barely even knew how to kick her ass. He had to be instructed, and in the end, he didn't even do anything. He just ran head first into her because that's the only thing he knows how to do. And every other time before that, whenever he transformed, he got his ass whooped immediately. So of course, when he had some downtime, he got on that One Punch Man training regimen. Who wouldn't? Look, here's what I like about him. It's kind of similar to things that I like about Mob from Mob Psycho 100, but the inverse in a lot of ways. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up here. Most of these shonen protagonists are very aspirational. A lot of them have these crazy sounding goals like becoming Hokage, becoming king of the pirates, #1 hero, finding his dad. But they make you believe that those goals are possible because they all have this raw strength of will. They will bend the world around them to fit their goal because they're just so damn determined. Even the ones that seem like underdogs at first, most of the time they end up having some next level chosen one shenanigans. Itadori, Naruto, Luffy. Luffy's the offspring of like multiple of the most important people in the world. Naruto's dad was the Hokage. Deku is actually the Avatar, apparently. Ichigo is basically a eugenics experiment. Ironically enough, the least chosen one out of that group is probably Goku, because his whole shtick was that he was supposed to be like a super mid warrior, and then he hit his head and said, nah, fuck that. But even then, the whole legendary Super Saiyan and all that comes in, and he kind of sort of becomes like a chosen one / god type figure. In comparison to all those guys, Okarun doesn't know who he is. He's not anyone special, which is kind of like Mob, but Mob is cool because he has these insane powers that make him untouchable, and he still tries to be as normal as possible. Okarun doesn't even have that. He's just a confused teenager trying to figure out who he is and what he does want in life. He's only really passionate about one thing, and well, we saw how that turned out. But at heart, he's just an awkward, kind-hearted guy with a crush. And that's why I make the comparison to Mob, but Mob is very different. Mob wants to be a normal kid and find joy in the simple things in life. Beautiful story. Awesome story. Love that. But Okarun is interesting because he's a much more ordinary guy in an extraordinary situation. He's just like you or me, except he's throwing hands with spirits and aliens. Imagine if you turned around tomorrow and got your ball stolen and then had to fight spirits and aliens. You wouldn't do so hot either. I sure as hell wouldn't, because I can't fight for shit. I can barely throw one punch without throwing my back out. And I haven't even hit 30 yet. So Okarun is very relatable. He doesn't have any lofty goals or crazy ambitions. He can't really fight, because why the hell would he know how to fight? And yet he's in these insane situations, and every time he gets his ass bailed out by Momo. But the effect that has psychologically on a teenage boy is that he now feels like a burden. And this is what brings me back to that concept of masculinity. It's not an accident that so much of the story revolves around him losing his balls. He lost his balls. He can't find his balls. What's happening to his balls? And his body's also going through weird ass physical transformations because of what happened to his balls. It's an allegory for puberty. And it's very meta. His physical situation mirrors his psychological situation. Why does he feel like a burden? Because he constantly gets his ass kicked and then has to get saved. Because he got emasculated by losing his dick and balls, his actual manhood. And when he transforms, his dialogue isn't just emo for no reason. This is a representation of a voice and a feeling that we all have, telling us that we can't do it, we're gonna fail, everything sucks, there's no point in continuing. And the more you entertain it, the more you give into it, the harder it gets to break out of that cycle. What makes him a positive example of masculinity is that even though he could complain and whine about all these crazy weird things that are happening to his body, experience things like Momo walking in on him at the worst possible time, and he could blame her for being judgmental. He could be like, no, Momo, you're wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. But instead, he tries to take responsibility and do better. He tries to see things from her perspective. Even though he didn't do what she thought he did still lie to her. And when you hide things and you lie, it can lead to unexpected consequences and misunderstandings. But even though he's empathetic and he doesn't just lash out, he still feels and expresses his emotions. When Momo pisses him off, he gets pissed off right back. He shows his vulnerability when she genuinely hurts his feelings. He's feeling all of these emotions and he's trying to handle them in a healthy way, even though he's naturally kind of awkward. And I love that. That's a position that a lot of young men are in. But unfortunately, we're in an era where there is a lot, way too much in fact, content designed to make these young men mad and blame society and blame women for everything bad that happens to them and everything negative that they feel.
Who cares if she says no?
It's externalizing their frustrations in all the wrong ways instead of, teaching them healthy coping mechanisms. Not to say that there's a ton of red pill content in anime specifically, although there's a lot of trashy isekai that gets pretty close. But a lot of shonen anime, which is aimed at young boys, has a pretty garbage track record of showing these kinds of healthy relationships between young men and young women. And showing these young men who start out in a pretty relatable situation learn to process their emotions in a healthy way. So having someone like Okarun, who is in a very real world setting, who has nerdy interests and a little bit of trouble talking to people, and isn't some next level chosen one, or doesn't have some crazy power that just makes him a god, that is a really nice breath of fresh air. Taking him and then showing him learning to be stronger, more mature, a better version of himself, that's great. And then making the actual story around him match those themes makes the point even stronger. Hot take, or maybe not a hot take anymore, but Okarun is the perfect evolution of the shonen protagonist. And Momo is also the perfect evolution of the female shonen protagonist. In short, I love Dandadan, and you should too. If you liked the video, please drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. We are a small channel out here, so we're trying to grow. And let me know what you think. Do you like Okarun? Do you think he could be a better character? All opinions are welcome. But with that, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.